The portals you make and the paranormal. Part 2. Hello, once more. I'm Swaruu. Following what I was saying in the previous videos, your human body is your own manifestation, and it is meant to give you a limited experience within the realm you all call the physical world. But the human body can only provide a limited range of perception, whatever its five senses can perceive, and that leads to a purely materialistic way of perceiving existence, and the best example of this is the established science on Earth. But concluding that everything humans can perceive and understand with their limited science, derived from their even more limited five senses, is all what exists is a terrible mistake. As I have described before, Tibetan science as well as the science of just about all advanced races, federation or not, can detect extremely subtle forms of energy, using very advanced sensors of the interferometer family. Tibetans can map and read the harmonics of a frequency of just about any place and at a molecular level. Being able to detect the most subtle changes in energy and frequency. Tibetan technology can detect and read what you call paranormal activity. Humans and their technology simply cannot see nor detect what is going on in other subtly levels of existence. They cannot see all the immense and complicated world full of entities, animals, and people that is intertwined within what is called the material world. But we can. First of all, we can perceive things mentally, as our senses go beyond the five humans account for. But here and for now, I'm only going to talk about what stellar races can detect with high technology. This information is being recollected many ways, and one of the most usual methods is using spherical drones, the ones I have described in a previous video. The so-called spirit world is not in a density above nor below the material world, it is occupying the same space, intermeshed within the same cloth, so to speak. As I described before, everything that exists is vibration and frequency. When one or another is too different, they cannot interfere with one another, but if they happen to have some, or enough, elements in common, then some interference can occur, to the exact degree of commonality between both sides. When the frequency of someone or something on one side matches something in the other, they become a sort of bridge between both realms, existing in both at the same time, because there is no barrier between realms. Or what defines one or the other is the range of what can be perceived. As in, if everyone were colorblind, colors would be something paranormal, not accepted socially, and a myth. Human instruments can perceive things that are invisible to humans' five senses, for example infrared, ultraviolet, infrasound and so on. But they only extend human perception a little bit more, and not enough to detect more subtle but real forms of energy. For example, up-to-date humans can't agree with their science what gravity is. Because it is outside its understanding and they basically have everything backwards. So people on Earth, and in other planets as well of course, coexist with a whole zoo of entities and astral animals of all kinds and forms, surrounding them all the time. Usually we don't interfere with one another, unless our frequencies match. Sentient beings can control their frequency of vibration by guarding their thoughts and emotions. Remember that you are what you think. Those entities, all the inhabitants of the realms that are invisible to human perception, share the same space, but not necessarily the same time, as it does tend to move differently as it is a perception. And both sides may coincide there as well, although usually not. So, when a person has a low vibration frequency, holding hurtful thoughts of anger and fear, among others for example, it is basically like rolling the dice, because if the resulting frequency matches something on the other side, any form of interaction can occur, from mild to strong. This is why certain individuals conduct hideous rituals and sacrifices, in order to lower the general frequency of the place, and their personal frequency enough to become a match to the lower astral entities they want contact with, sometimes even to reach agreements, not in the best interest of the general population. The same way, if a person holds a high frequency and vibration, and is consistent enough at holding it, becoming part of their very personality, they also end up becoming a match with other kinds of entities of a much kinder, and of a much more loving nature. This is the base theory of channeling beings in a so-called higher realm of existence. As I said before, you become the average frequency of the material, the data, and of the people you interact with. What is on the spirit side is a very large variety of what we could call animals and people, some of which have equivalents on the material side, but by far in most cases they do not have an equivalent, meaning that they are creatures that only exist in the so-called astral side. The body of a person in the material side is the result of a self-interpretation and manifestation of its own preconceived ideas about what defines it as an individual. The body is a reflection of that soul's thoughts. When someone dies in a violent way, that soul's awareness sometimes does not have the chance to adapt to the idea that its time in physicality is over. This can happen for many reasons. The same way a physical body is the manifestation of a soul's ideas, so is an astral weak form of manifestation many can call a ghost. It is an echo of someone, but it may have some level or awareness, or not. It may be just a memory being generated by that being at one or another level. No one gets lost, not knowing how to go back to source after death. But they may choose to remain in that lesser energy body form for many reasons. It is said that the main one is fear of being punished for the bad things they may have done while alive. So, again, what is causing that soul not to return to source is its own set of ideas and attachments. Certain places can hold a vibration within its walls, using rock as a crystal hard drive. But the main reason a place holds a constant low vibration, as in the case of haunted houses, it is because it is inhabited by astral beings and persons who are affecting the premises with their own thoughts and ideas. Most astral beings that are on the other side and that are unique to that realm are just animals for lack of a better word, and will react as such, only looking to satisfy their most basic needs such as the need to feed. So, observing them objectively, they are not good and they are not evil either. They simply are there, doing whatever they do and searching for what they need, and many times that may be contrary to our own needs and interests. The problem may arise when a subject on the material side becomes a vibrational match to one of those entities, of the animal kind or not, because although usually one side cannot see the other, when a match occurs, then they can affect each other, and this is when someone on the material world gets parasitized by this kind of entities. And this parasitism can even include people who once had a body, because they attach themselves to live people who can give them some kind, or level of satisfaction to what they were attached to when alive. For example, a live drunkard with an entity attached to it that when alive was also a drunkard. This is also the main cause of schizophrenia, a cause human science is far from understanding, and even further from accepting. I'm working on the third part now, which is the part I'm most excited to talk about because it is very revealing, important and useful information for us all. Thank you for being here with me today. With much love. Swaruu.